Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. Welcome to 2021. I know what year it is, you don't know what year it is. Mid-year freakout tag. We don't go the same places that we used to go. It's literally the very beginning of July, so we're going into the second half of the year. And what do I, if anything, have to show for it? I love filming these videos, I love watching those videos. It's just a little mid-year stop to check and see what worked, what didn't, what disappointed, what surprised. But just before we get into that, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is Book of the Month. I am so excited to be working with them. Book of the Month is a very popular US subscription box. They vet through hundreds of books each month and they select 5 for you then to go and pick from. These are all new and early release titles, and if at any point you would like a break, you get skip at any time and you will not be charged for that month. I personally think it is very effective and efficient module, and the following books were July's selection. First pick was We Are the Brennans, and this is a literary fiction drama. It has to put their family back together because their business is failing. The next book is The People We Keep, which is a contemporary book about a girl who doesn't feel like she belongs where she is, and so she packs her life and moves. A tale for anyone who has ever yearned for the fierce power of found family. Next we have Razorblade Tears, which is a mystery thriller, and it follows 2 men, one black, one white, have very little in common other than they are 2 ex-cons. Their sons get murdered, and they band together in their desperate desire for revenge. It's described as provocative and fast-paced. Next we have Sisters in Arms. This is a historical fiction based on a true story of the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion. Sisters in Arms explores the untold story of what life was like for the only all-black female US battalion to be deployed overseas during World War II. And the last choice is 56 Days, which is a mystery thriller. This book actually is set during COVID time, so we have Clara and Oliver who meet, and then when the lockdown starts, they decide to move in together. But then at current day, the detectives arrive at Oliver's apartment to discover a decomposing body inside. The 3 books that I am the most interested in are The People We Keep, Razorblade Tears, and 56 Days. If I had to pick one, I would probably go for 56 Days because I've actually not yet read anything where COVID-19 is part of the plot. If this sounds interesting and you'd like to give it a go, I will link it in the description bar, and you can use the code SUNNY5 to get your first box for $9.99. This is a US only service, so they do not ship internationally, but if you are based in US, I think it sounds pretty cool and might be a good fit for you. So thank you so much for Book of the Month for sponsoring this video and helping this channel out. Let's get into what I've read, what I've hated, what I've loved. There are 13 questions and I will try my best to answer all of them, but I do know that I always fail on a couple of them. But the best book I've read so far this year, I think, is this. It's And Every Morning This Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Beckman. It was a very touching short novella to get such a emotional impact in 70 pages of a very short book is a true achievement. This follows a generation of men, a son, grandson, and a grandfather, and grandfather has Alzheimer's, so it's a lot about memory and what makes you you, and when and how others around you deal with seeing a person slipping away. It's so beautiful. I honestly recommend everyone give it a go. Worst case scenario is so short, and even if you don't like it, it's still, I don't know, just read it. It's really good. And honestly, this was my favorite because I think that it is brilliant. It was 10 across the board on Copile, and that I don't think ever happened. I'm not sure, but it's definitely a rarity. Next one is best sequel you read this year, and it's funny, I've actually only read 2 sequels, and one was Golden Sun, which is the second one in Red Rising, and the other one was The Obelisk Gate, the second one for the Broken Earth trilogy. And I found them both so disappointing. I actually preferred the first of both of these series much more to what came after. This one actually made me lower my rating for the first book, which I think is also a first, so maybe this year was just very unique. This I thought is gonna be my new best favorite series, similar to Red Rising at the time that I read it, and it just was not meant to be. I do hear that a lot about this one. Not so much about this one, I think I am pretty unpopular opinion on this front, but A bit unfortunate for sequels for me this year so far. I do have some that I might read still, so maybe this will change by the end of the year, but I'm not sure. New release that is already out but you've not read it yet, and this hands down is the the one that I really, really want to read, and that's Project Hail Mary. However, I will be reading this month, unless something very bad happens and I can't. Please not. I didn't mean to manifest that. I do not claim this. This is one of my most anticipated, if not my most anticipated release for the year. It deals with a person who was sent into space with the mission of saving Earth. They then wake up and all of their crew members are dead and they're the only one alive, and they actually can't remember it. And bit by bit, I'm assuming the memory comes back, and I don't know, but I am so excited for the ride. Oh my god, just put me in a spaceship and shoot me out, because I'm pretty much done on Earth and don't love it here. And you know how everyone's saying like, oh, this is the hottest summer year, but you know what? It's probably the coldest one from now on, so... I want to go to space. Very sad if this sucks and if I don't like it, and my low-key quit Booktube, so, you know, no pressure. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have two. We have the Bone Shard Emperor, which is the sequel to the Bone Shard Daughter. Very excited about that. Not like must have it and read it now excited, but excited. I don't know if it's because it's the recent read for me as well, so I don't know if the excitement's gonna simmer down a little bit as time goes, because that happens a lot. But the other one is Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book, and I don't actually know what's it called, but the first book is called Skyward. Also excited, not like will die, give it to me excited. I think Hail Mary is that one for me. Looking forward to these. Biggest disappointment. I will pick one of the sequels because I think that's when I had the expectation, because I really enjoyed the first, and it has to be The Golden Sun, because again, it made me lower the Red Rising rating. And whilst Obelisk Gate was a disappointment, it was by no means a bad book. I think I originally gave this 4 stars. I also lowered it to 3 since then. I don't know if I mentioned it. It was, I don't know. It was just too angsty. It was too weirdly structured. They removed my favorite characters for the first couple of 100 pages, and I understand that a lot of people think this is a fast book, but I am a slow reader, so even if the book is fast, I'm still slow. The beauty, the mwah of the second or the third or whatever, the sequel, is that I don't have to go and trudge along through the bits that have to like build the world, familiarize you with the characters. So when they hit you with like a new cast or a new setting or a new something that gives you more info to work through, I hate that, because I'm also maybe lazy a bit. I really like to be already immersed. I'm like, I've already gone through this effort through the first book. Can I just now see the rewards of being already immersed, you know? I understand new information and new characters must come in, but do that a bit later, not at the very start. And that's how I kind of felt with this, even though obviously we have our main character, but let me know if this in general is something that you agree with, or do you think that I'm crazy, which is also fine. Then we have biggest surprises. So the one that I've already mentioned is actually the Bone Shard Daughter, and because from the premise I actually wouldn't think that I would enjoy it. If I just read the premise, I don't think I would have picked it up if not for the read rate review. There are a couple buzzwords that would be not too exciting for me. Emperor, Empress, royal family is not something that I necessarily gravitate towards, because I feel like it's so oversaturated, understandably so, but it's still very oversaturated and everywhere. The fact that it's set in the sea, there's a lot of kind of like a rebel princess, you know, but I really enjoyed it. I thought that the sprinkled plot twist and reveals really worked to keep me engaged. The short chapters worked wonders. Honestly, that's so important to me. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't perfect, but it was very, very fun. It was something that I would read when I needed like a fun journey. And another one is Die. This is not necessarily because I thought that I will dislike it, but I just really liked it. I still am to read volume 2, but this is like a Jumanji D&D type of adventure stuck in a game, but with darker themes is how I would describe it. I really love it. I really loved it, and the artwork is beautiful. It's honestly, it's so stunning. The game and being stuck in the game, being stuck as characters really appeals to me so much. Favorite new author is a little bit hard. I don't know if I have a favorite new author. I was thinking N.K. Jemisin again for the 5th season, but then the second one was a little bit like, it was good, but it was just good. Enjoyed, but I didn't love The City We Became. There's possibly Frederick Beckman, but again, not quite sure if it counts. Maybe? So maybe. Next question is the one that I, for the most part, I think, fail. I don't actually know for my previous answers, but it's the new fictional crush. I don't really crush, which is sad because it sounds like fun, but I don't really do that much. Newest favorite character. Again, very hard to get to be a new favorite character in my books. If animal companions count, Mephi then, from Bone Shard Daughter. Though he definitely has a very, very unfair advantage, being that he is an animal. Just naturally more inclined to like that than any person. So. A book that made me cry was A Man Called Uva. I've definitely shed a singular, sad, little, slow tear at the very end, because I thought it was so well done. I really am so glad they included that chapter. I think it would have been way less well-rounded if it wasn't. I didn't love this as much as the Everyday The Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, but I do still think it's a really nice read if you enjoy that kind of slice of life. Older man, cranky, very old-fashioned views, but pure-hearted, but wants to appear mean to people. But it's also at the very core about grief, because he is very much not taking the death of his wife, the truest definition of your other half, to him. And it hit very, very close to home, so I think I'm a little bit unfairly biased towards the story because it resembled my grandfather's story a lot. They were absolutely inseparable. They even had the same name, like the first name. And my grandmother passed away before my grandfather did. And those years with him living without her, he was just unrecognizable. And I want to get into it. But it definitely did hit really close to home. So this and his other work was definitely very emotional, but I do think this was a bit too long for what it needed to be. It felt like a lot of the chapters were like they were serving the same purpose, which is fine. I just at that time wanted to move on, and that's not what I'm looking for, you know? Book that made you happy. So actually those two books, like the Beckman books, I also could count for that, because I am happy when a book manages to make me feel any type of sadness or anything like that, because that is not an easy thing to do for me as a reader. To Be Thought If Fortunate. It's again a novella, and it's about a certain crew jumping from one planet to another to explore, doing everything they can to not act colonizing in any way, just being very respectful to the local flora and so on, and like everything like that, but still gathering knowledge just purely for knowledge's sake. And I loved it. And there was obviously another twist in there, but other than that, it was again almost like a slice of life, but make it sci-fi and space and exploration. And I like when sci-fi's focuses on human feelings and just pure joys of experiencing something extremely unique and life-changing and humbling. And it made me really, I don't know, the respect, the humanness in this little novella made me really happy. It was, I guess, how other people read like a middle grade and it gives them like the nice fuzzy feelings. This is that for me. Like the middle grade so far, not really been managing to do that, but this kind of thing, great for that for me. Then we have the most beautiful books you acquired this year. And I actually have a whole video of the most beautiful books in my collection at that point, because that changes constantly, but I'll link it down below as well if you want to check it out. But I have a couple to show you here because I really like them, and I think when I made that video, they probably would fall into some of those categories. So first of all, we have this beautiful version of how the King of Helfheim learned to hate stories, but it has gilded golden edges, and it just makes it. I am a sucker for gold, and this is gold and purple, and but it's also an illustrated edition, so it just makes it very, very nice and special, very fairy tale like. Another one is this. I just really love the cover. Sometimes sci-fis are hit with the most hideous covers, and sometimes they just have the best ones. And I really like this one. It gives you that sense of the vastness of space, at the same time giving you like a clear focus and floatiness of it. I just really love it. It's super simple. There's nothing like extraordinary about it, but to me, it really works and I love it. It gives you the feel, it gives you the vibe. The one that I'm gonna show you is because it is like old fashioned-y cloth bind, which is, this is not, but it pretends to be. And it's also illustrated edition, so it's pretty for that too. But I just like this I just like this vibe, you know, like the oldie proper library vibe. And then the last question is, what are the books that you really want to read for like the second half of the year? There's a video either already up or soon up after this. It's gonna be like my VIP TBR and also my previous hauls. So pretty much those. I'm not gonna go through it because there's too many to name and it would take a while and we would just be sat here for a bit too long. And very much also my lunch break is breaking and I have to skedoodle and skedaddle. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you fancy, feel free to answer some or all of these questions down below. I would like to know. I'm sure other people reading the comments, it'd be fun for them also to look at that. Thanks so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I will see you very soon. Bye!